1941, the war had just begun. The Germans had the biggest ship that had the biggest guns. The Bismarck was the biggest ship that ever sailed the seas. Over decks were guns as big as stairs and shells as big as trees.
Woo! Well, greetings, travelers! If you couldn't guess by my Johnny Horton song, we are traveling to World War II. Now, World War II may seem like a very long time ago to you, but trust me, travelers, it's not as long ago as you might think. Well, kind of is, but World War II started in 1939. If you're doing your math right now, you're saying, well, it's 1920, 1930. It's easier just go like this: 39, 49, 59, 69, 79, 89, 99, 109, 119. That means 81 years ago. World War II started 81 years ago. So do you know anybody that was alive during World War II? Think about it. I can tell you I do. My dad was born in 1938. That means he was 1 when World War II began. Now, the United States doesn't get into 1941, so that means he was 3 in 1941, if you're doing the math, right? 39, 49, 41, that's 40, he was 3. So this picture right here, this is my dad and his brother Earl. My dad is probably about 4 years old right here, and his brother is about 10 years old when this picture. And this is probably about 1942 when this picture was taken. Okay, so this is during World War II, like I said. Not that long ago. In fact, my husband's father was actually drafted during World War II, right out of high school. At age 18, he went into World War II and had to go over to fight the Japanese. So, it's not that long ago. You can probably find and talk to someone alive during World War II. And if you can, please do, if they're willing to talk to you about it. Get what you can. Anytime you can talk to somebody about history, my goodness, talk to them. They'll tell you some cool stuff. All right, so back to World War II. So, World War II starts in 1939, and it starts because Hitler wants to take over the world, along with the Japanese. So in this war, the 3 people we end up fighting would be the Germans, of course, the Japanese, and the Italians. They are what's known as the Axis powers. We eventually join the side of the Allies, but it takes us a while to get in because we're still isolationist. Remember that whole World War I thing? We're like, don't get us involved in a war, so we stay out as well as we can. So, World War II starts in 1939, and a lot of it is because of the way World War I ended. If you remember, World War I ended pretty poorly. We didn't join the League of Nations, and Germany get huge war reparations, and Germany had to take full blame for the war, and Germany lost land, and Germany lost their military, and things were not going well. So, and remember, we are in the Great Depression. Well, so is the rest of the world. So things aren't so good. So because things are so bad in Germany, the horrible man named Adolf Hitler is able to kind of come into that country and take advantage of a bad situation and convince people that the horrible things he's doing is going to make Germany a strong country again. But we'll talk more about kind of the Germany part of it later. But so World War II starts 1939. Germany invades Poland, and they had done some other things before that, and we'll talk about kind of the steps leading up to this. Finally, France and Britain are like, okay, Germany, that's it. You can't keep taking land. This is it. We're declaring war. So in September of 1939, war officially begins. But things don't happen right away at first. Everything, war, this is a phony war. That's the word you hear, phony war. But when Hitler decides to really attack, he goes in hard, and in the spring and summer of 1940, he takes over most of Europe, the western side of Europe. In fact, by June of 1940, France is almost non-existent. It's occupied by Germany. Paris is occupied by Germany. So even though France is on our side, and they're on the Allied side, basically Hitler takes over the western part of Germany. In fact, the British don't even get to come into Europe. So if you have heard about D-Day, you've heard about D-Day, the June 6, 1945, when we are going to go into attack Germany, we actually invade France. Yeah, isn't that weird? We have to invade France to get into Germany to fight Hitler. Yeah, that's how bad it is. This is a bad war. But anyway, the United States doesn't get involved right away. It takes us a while. In fact, it's not till 1941 when the Japanese pull us into this big old war. They decide, a little sneak attack on Pearl Harbor. We have awakened a sleeping giant, said the Emperor of Japan after they attacked us, and we declare war. And well, we go in, and now we're in the war, 1941. When this war begins, like I said, we're going to have three main fronts. A front is like an area that we're fighting. First of all, we've got the European front. So we're going to fight Germany and Italy on the European front. Then we have the Pacific front, and that is fighting Japan. Now, my husband's dad, who was drafted at 18, went into the Pacific front. He was fighting the Japanese, and he was actually involved in some of the fighting in the Philippines, and we'll study that later. So, and then the third front is called the home front. And that's everything we have to do at home to get ready to win this war. So we have to change our industries to war industries. We have to save money, and we have to save food, and we collect scrap metal, and we do all kinds of things to get ready on the home front. So we're going to study three fronts: the European front, the Pacific front, and the home front. Again, during this war, we have Franklin Roosevelt as president. Remember, I said that before. If you recall, he is president during most of this war. It's at the very end that he dies, and Truman is the one that finally is the president orders the dropping of the atomic bombs to end the war against Japan. So yeah, this is the war with the Holocaust and the atomic bombs. This is a war with Blitzkrieg and Kristallnacht and Japanese internment. This is a bad war. This is just an ugly, horrible war. And hopefully we learn from World War II and we ended it better, but we'll talk about all that stuff soon. So like I said, we get involved in 1941, and we have to fight Hitler on the European front, we have to fight Japan on the Pacific front, and let's study World War II. And if you want to hear that song again, it's called "You Gotta Sink the Bismarck," because it was "Sinking of the Bismarck" by Johnny Horton. Let's see if we can get that going again. In May of 1941, the war had just begun. The Germans...
For British seamen, he knew and understood. They had to sink the Bismarck, the terror of the sea. Stop those guns as big as steers and those shells as big as trees. They finally